Good morning, fellow Queenslanders. If you and I do not rise up in the next just over 24 hours and put a stop to what the government in Queensland is proposing, after that period of time, you will not be able to purchase and take home for your family one piece of fruit or vegetable that will not be toxic if their proposal comes through. This is really important and it affects every single Queenslander. And for the sake of ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, and our future as a state, we need to make our voice heard. Now, I know this is not a comfortable thing for a lot of people. It's not comfortable for me, but who are we fighting for? I'm sure it was not comfortable when the Anzacs went and fought the war years ago for our sake. But my goodness me, we're comfortable because of what they did. And today, we have issues with Australia and New Zealand's affected. And it is going to affect our lives and future generation lives if we don't pay the price now to stand up and say something. So I am asking you, as a fellow Queenslander, please watch the rest of this. I will try and make it as quick and to the point as I can. I know you don't have time. I certainly don't have extra time in the day to go mucking with stuff like this, but I've made it a priority. So the thing I am talking about is a proposal, and I received it at 8 this morning from, actually 8:24 to be precise, from a company who keeps me alerted as to the safety of our food and what's going on. And so they have called quickly for Australia. This is an American company that works in cooperation with Australia as well. And they have sent out an urgent action alert to oppose irradiation of fresh fruits and vegetables. So to put it in a nutshell, and then I'll give you a little bit more detail, the Queensland government has proposed a law. They want to change the irradiation laws. There's already irradiation laws on some food products, but they have been kept to a real minimum because of genuine scientific proof that it is a risky thing to do. So now what the government in Queensland has decided to do is that they want to pass their own law. So they have written an application by themselves to themselves. That's really important that you understand this. You know, if I want to make an awards night, and I'm the person applying for the award, and I'm the person approving the award, guess who's going to get the award? Me. Because there's no second or third party. Now, the government is there, it's supposed to represent you. It's supposed to hear your voice and represent you. But what's happened is, without asking any one of us in Queensland, the Queensland government has decided to apply to themselves for approval to irradiate not the old assessment of a few things. They have asked to apply to irradiate every single fruit and vegetable brought into and sold in Queensland. Now, if you sort of say, well, hey, I don't, so what? Irradiated food, what does that mean? Is that bad? Surely it's not bad. And certainly if you Google, the first things that are going to come up is, oh, radiation's not that bad. No, it's not really a problem. But please note, dear viewer, none of those things are research-based. You understand that marketing takes the lead these days. Marketing is the thing that pushes itself forward and says, this is a great product. And they don't care if 30 years later they find it grows you 3 heads. They'll just go, oh, well, in 30 years' time, we'll go to business, we'll try something else. So don't be fooled by the first thing that comes up on Google. And I know you're smarter than that. Queenslanders are smarter than that. So what they've done is they have, like I've said, they've proposed to change the laws. Now, this is actually printed from the government website, the government's own application to change our Australian laws. It's actually the application to FSANZ. So it's affecting both countries. So it goes in and it states its application, what it wants to do, and then it says its purpose. And it has a little thing down here called justification. And in justification, it proposes why it thinks it's okay to do this. And it goes, now this is 8 pages long. And really, to be honest, it's not worth the paper it's printed on, and it's worse than a child's fairy tale as far as misleading facts. It is not based on facts. It is based on proposals and assumptions, not scientific facts. But the problem is the government is the person who has to okay this. So they've written it to themselves, and then they're going to take it and they're going to read it and go, oh, yes, we okay this, because they're the same person applying. Now, can you see that's not fair? It's not government. It's not right. You have a little over 24 hours to rise up as a Queenslander and do something about this. So we were supposed to have a deadline of April next year. It was supposed to go in. It was not supposed to be. It was supposed to be, all right, I'll just read it. Apparently, the original plan called for public comments to be collected by next April. But instead, the deadline to submit comments on this proposal is tomorrow, Friday, the 11th of December, by 6 p.m. Well, where's the fairness in that? They haven't even told us about this proposal, and now they've shifted it so we don't even have till next April, friend. You have 24 hours to do something about this. So I'm going to tell you how to do something about this and why you should do something about this. So first of all, like we've already covered, the government is applying to themselves to approve themselves. Your voice is not even in there. Then they have stated in their application dodgy information, assumptions, non-verified, non-scientific facts, just to smoothie it through. They have also done something very bad, which is they have isolated, and I'll get to that in a second, they have isolated their research. And it's like looking at this one tiny sticker on here and completely ignoring the rest of the lemon inside and out and going, well, the sticker's going to be okay when we chuck it through. Never mind that the rest of it's going to fall off. So you say, all right, radiation. What is so bad about it? Irradiation. What is so bad about it? Well, let me just let you in on a couple of little things. This is, now, here we have the 8-page application from the government. And I'll tell you where to get all this information yourself. The great thing about doing something about this too is I've done a lot of the hard work for you. You don't have much hard work to do, and the corporation who sent it to me has done all the hard work for me. So for you to do something, it's going to take you about 10 minutes. All right, it's going to take you less time than it takes me to tell you about it. So please don't think that this is going to be too hard for you. It's not. So this is a government application, 8 pages of dodgy information. And yes, that is correct. It's dodgy. It's assumptions. It's not solid, hard research. Here is Australian companies and different companies. Australia's. It's not American. This is Australia's rebuttal to the government and their argument against irradiation, why it's so bad. And this thing is 42 pages long with proper scientific research, data, references, whole whiz bang shazam. So, who is fooling you? It's certainly not the guys that are rebuttaling it, and you need to give them some of your attention. All right, this is just a couple of the reasons why they say don't irradiate the food. Irradiation, in this government application, they said basically 2 things. They said, oh, it affects vitamin C just a small amount, but we're okay, we're above that, and it really doesn't do anything else. It's shown to be not really harmful. Scientific lie, people. So irradiation, so this is now from your research, and you've got all your references in the back to go scoot for yourself. Irradiation of apples, apricots, cherries, nectarines, peaches, plums, honeydew, rockmelons, strawberries, table grapes, zucchini and squash would adversely affect the nutritional value and safety of significant components of the Australian and New Zealand food supplies. The truth is, and I will get into some a little bit heavier in a minute, combined with fruits and vegetables already approved for irradiation, and there is a few, not the bulk, there is a few, I think it says 28. This proposal would constitute a major reduction in the nutritional value and safety of the human food supply in both of our countries, Australia and New Zealand. Yet A1092, and that's their application, is being assessed in isolation from its total dietary content. And that's what I was trying to tell you before. They have isolated one topic, say vitamin C or whatever, which actually they haven't even really quoted the facts on it, and left out everything else. There's another really important thing here. The Queensland government has a clear conflict of interest by being both the applicant for A1092 and as a member of the Legislative and Governance Forum on Food Regulation, being one of the final arbiters of the decision on its own application. If I apply for a prize and I'm the person judging whether I get the prize, who gets the prize? This is a stacked deck, people. It's stacked against you, but you can win this because this is not legal. The nutritional and safety assessment process, which they have proposed, this is their proposal, lacks scientific rigor, relying heavily on unpublished, non-peer-reviewed research submitted by the applicant. So again, they are stating their own facts and then putting that forward as their right to have these facts. People, this is seriously one-sided. And the worst part is, have they even told you about it? No. Have they told you they moved the date from April to now? No, they haven't told you any of this stuff. So, what's so bad about irradiated food? Let's get into that, and then I'll tell you how to fix this problem if you rise up. Okay, so irradiated pet food was responsible for the death and injury of a significant number of cats in Australia, leading to its ban. So irradiated food's already been tried out on animals and they died and got injured from it. And you will find out in a minute why it's so bad for anybody to eat, including your cat. So we had the sense enough in Australia to ban it for our cats. Now you tell me, why, if we ban it for our cats, do we think it's okay for us? And as it turns out, the impact on children is even harsher than it is on animals. Whose leg are we pulling? All right, some myths and lies about irradiated food, the reality about it, and then you'll have a bit of hopefully I've stirred up a bit of irritation and frustration and anger in you against being lied to. Rise up, do something about it. All right, these are some of the myths about irradiation. Irradiation produces no unique chemicals. And of course, these are all this type of comments in here as well. It's like, it doesn't really harm anything. We don't really have research. Or the cats do. Okay, the reality is researchers have known for more than 30 years that irradiation causes the formation of chemical byproducts, including a class of chemicals called 2-ACBs, which recently was shown to promote the cancer development process in rats. And I don't know if you know it or not, but mice in labs and humans respond very, very similar. That's why they test on mice, because humans have very similar reactions to mice to certain things. So these poor old rats are starting to knock out cancer from irradiated foods. So to say that it doesn't produce any unique chemicals is a down and outright lie. Scientifically proven to be a lie. All right, next myth. The best scientific studies conducted over many years show no adverse health effects from consuming irradiated food. Well, we can tell by the research from the previous comment that this one's a lie as well. Reality. Animals fed irradiated foods in experiments dating back 50 years have suffered dozens of health problems, including premature death, mutations, reproductive problems, immune system disorders, tumors, organ damage, and stunted growth. Oh, yummy. Doesn't that sound great? Further, there is a lack of research on the potential health effects of feeding irradiated foods to children who are more susceptible than adults to adverse effects of consuming toxic substances. These are facts we've known for 50 years, people. So to say that over many years has shown no effect is a marketing lie. People should be really held accountable for these lies. I don't know how they're getting away with them. Okay, next myth. Vitamin losses from irradiation are insignificant. Now, that was in this Australian application. They stated that one is insignificant and are lower than those for canning or freezing. Reality. Studies have shown that some foods can lose up to 95% of their vitamin content when irradiated. That's a huge amount, people. All right, next myth. And this one I think is the one you need to hear above all others to help you make your decision. Myth: there is no link between food irradiation and nuclear power or nuclear weapons. Oh, that sounds peaceful, doesn't it? Reality: radioactive cobalt-60 produced by a nuclear reaction is used to irradiate food. That's what they use to irradiate the food. How can people say it has no link to nuclear power or nuclear weapons? How can they even say that? It takes a nuclear reaction to produce the product that they irradiate food with. Queenslanders, I know you're not that dumb. I know you won't swallow that one. Also, cesium-137, a waste product of nuclear bomb production, can legally be used for irradiation, though it is not now being used. So this thing has even been cleared for bombing your food. All forms of ionizing radiation, whether generated by an electronic beam or a radioactive isotope, cause the same adverse effects in food. If you can just get that one under your belt, that is enough to argue your case and say, I'm not giving my child food that is being treated by something that came out of a nuclear reaction. Another myth: irradiation results in little, if any, change to the appearance, taste, and nutritional value of food. Reality: numerous studies indicate that irradiation can corrupt the flavor. Well, of course it can. You think about it's radiation. Okay, it can corrupt the flavor, odor, appearance, and texture of food. In studies, beef has smelt like a wet dog. Can you imagine that? Pork can turn red. Fruit and vegetables can become mushy, and eggs can become runny. Come on, this is real stuff. A Consumer Reports study on irradiated foods published in August 2003 found that irradiated ground beef had a singed hair taste. This is not hard to believe because it's being hit with radiation. What do we use radiation to do? To kill stuff. And it kills it well. And it's not pretty while it's killing it. I mean, look at the dear people who've had radiation treatment for cancer and the hair falls out and all the rest of it. We know that this stuff is harsh. We don't need to put it on our food. Last one, which even though it applies to America, you need to know it because otherwise you'll believe a lie. This is the myth. NASA has been irradiating food for its astronauts since the 1970s. An experience with NASA astronauts indicates compounds found during food irradiation pose no unique risk to human beings. Doesn't that sound comforting and reassuring? But again, we've got the lemon problem. Focus on one thing. Listen to the reality. According to NASA themselves, less than 2% of the food consumed by astronauts on space missions is irradiated, and eating it is optional. The astronauts are not required to eat irradiated food after their missions have been completed, so this is not a valid example for the USDA to use. It's not a valid example for anybody to use. So, is there safe alternatives? Because you say the government is proposing we need to control pests in our vegetables and fruits. Even though we're living quite well in our quarantine environment already of not taking plants and things past a certain point, that's been working for decades. So they've said, oh, well, you know, we really need to worry about these pests. Is there alternatives? Yes, there is. And in this proposal from your own Australian people who are standing up for you and different groups are standing up for you, Australia, New Zealand, they stayed in here the very safe alternate methods that have been used successfully and can be used successfully, completely proving that this is not an option to be considered. So how do you respond? Okay, I'm going to put this up on our Facebook page, and I'll put it on public, even though I don't like doing things public, but I'll put it on public. Share this out as much as you can, and I will also put up on our Facebook page the email addresses, the original thing that was sent out to me, who you write to, who you apply to, and like they say, it can be as short or as long as you choose. What we need is for you to just get your voice in there. Even if you make one statement and you say, no, cobalt-60 is a thing used, I refuse to have this on my food for my children, no thank you. Or if you say the nutrient levels, or state any of these arguments, because they will be on the site as well for you to access, or send the whole argument if you wish to. It's going to take you 10 minutes. But people, if you don't, in 2 to 3 days' time, you will no longer be able, now it's going to take a little while to do it all, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, your right to say no is taken from you without you even trying to stop them. They're there to represent you, the government is. Let them hear your voice. Please, for the sake of yourself and your children and your grandchildren and every other member of Queensland, let them hear your voice. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Thank you for taking the time to consider these arguments. It is not just hearsay. It is not mumbo jumbo. It is scientific proof that this stuff is bad. And do you really want to wait 10 years, 5 years, 20 years and find out that you've now got diseases in your descendants that could have been avoided because you found the truth out now? So please, Queensland, rise up. Kick a goal. Put a stop to this. Let them know no to this. And let's get some safe alternates going for our farmers, for ourselves, for our children, and for future Queenslanders. Thanks for listening.